to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Oregon is headed to the Super Regional. Big Ten champions, your Oregon Ducks.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It's a Monday inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you live in the 1 o'clock hour, breaking down what was a win for Oregon last night against Stephen F. Austin, a 79-61 victory for the Ducks over Stephen F. Austin and the Lumberjacks. We'll get post-game reactions from Coach Dana Altman and some players as well, and Adrian Tracy and Brandon Angel, who spoke with the media after the game last night. We'll also get a quick conversation with Joey Mack as he breaks down just everything that's going on. There's a lot going on, so we're going to talk about some football, some volleyball, some basketball, the whole works with Joey coming up later in the show today. Also, Coach Kelly Graves on the program today as KG previews the matchup against Air Force. He spoke with the media late last week. We're running it on the show today. The Ducks will play against Air Force tomorrow, and Oregon will continue their non-conference slate. For the Ducks, it's been 10 days since Oregon has played. They played on December 7th against USC. Tomorrow's December 17th when Oregon will face off against Air Force at 6 o'clock. That game will be on Big Ten Plus. It will also be at Matthew Knight Arena. I look forward to seeing you all there at MKA. The game last night, Ducks men's basketball going up against Stephen F. Austin, 79-61, the final score in that matchup between the Ducks and Stephen F. Austin. Oregon had 4 scorers that scored more than 13 points. 15 for Brandon Angel, 14 for Jadrian Tracy and Supreme Cook, 13 for Nate Biddle. It was an all-around performance for the Ducks and a balanced effort for Oregon as well. Quick scare on the injury front. KJ Evans, he was removed from the game with an injury in the second half. The update from Coach Dana Altman, looking up. Coach Dana Altman, he spoke with the media after the game. Here are his quick reactions after the 79-61 win over Stephen F. Austin.
A word on KJ?
You know, I think he's okay. I talked to Clay and talked to him. Just banged it really hard, but I think structurally and everything, it's okay. Just think it's going to be really sore.
What'll stand out about this one to you, Dan, where you hold them to under 40% and tough night for them offensively, but at the same time, the turnovers where you knew they would pressure you, but 19 turnovers commit.
Well, they averaged getting 18 a game, and they made their average, which we were trying to prevent, and they get 15 offensive rebounds a game, and we gave them 19. I shouldn't say we gave them; they just outworked us for a lot of them. So again, that game, you know, we scheduled it for a purpose. We knew they'd be really physical. It was kind of like Troy. We're trying to get our guys, you know, the physicality of the game. We got to get ready for it. So very physical team, older guys, you know, just pounded the boards, you know, got up defensively, got their hands all over us, overplayed everything. And we didn't handle either aspect of it as well as I'd hoped. We spent the last 2 days really trying to get ready for it. And, you know, we didn't do a good enough job, again, handling their pressure or getting those defensive rebounds.
Is there something you can pinpoint to that just the slow starts on either end of the court for the last couple of games?
Slow start today. No. I mean, we went out and pressed. I mean, we jumped, we got out, It has been that way, so we changed some things up and started in a press just to try to prevent that. But I'm not sure exactly what the score was out of the block. But I mean, what's that? 18-4. You know, we got out good today. But I thought our press has helped us there, and we were a lot more aggressive, got some deflections.
The rebounding, getting out-rebounded by Stephen F. Austin, what did you see on the boards today, and how did we improve? Well, we knew they were a good rebounding team. They're +8, and again, 15 offensive rebounds a game is a high number. We just got to get more physical. You know, I think we're big enough. I think we're athletic enough. Our blockout rate's not what it needs to be. We chart that every game, and you know, our goal's 70. You know, we'd like to get 70 or better, and we're not anywhere near close to it. So we're just going to have to get a lot more physical on the boards with our blockouts. Everybody's got to think of themselves as a rebounder, and we're just going to have to do a much better job.
Are teams defending and attacking Jackson differently so far to start this season? Well, they got after him today, and a lot of double teams. You know, a lot of pressure on him. So you know, they got after him, and he's going to have to learn to handle that and learn to handle the double teams, because people are going to see this on film and probably hit him a lot harder with it. Do you read anything into the free throw discrepancy early in the game? You're 18 for 24, didn't finish with as strong as a percentage. Does that matter to you, how you finish at the free throw line? Well, no, we want to get to the line as much as possible. Like I said, they're a real physical team that put their hands all over you. That's just the way they guard, you know. So, again, we want to take the ball at the basket, you know. They, like I said, were really physical. Took away our cuts, you know, had their hands all over us, just the way they play, and so we should have got to the line a lot more. That's Coach Altman, his post-game after the win against Stephen F. Austin, 79-61 for the Ducks. It's brought to you, that post-game presser, by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, better cancer care close to home. You heard Coach Altman talk about it, the rebounding. That's really the thing that stuck out in this game as a point to improve for Oregon. The Ducks got out-rebounded 36-34 on the boards against Stephen F. Austin. If you watched what has been a great series of the coast-to-coast that has been put out for Oregon men's basketball, Brendan Merkel doing a phenomenal job producing those for Oregon. You heard Coach Menega talk about it. There's two goals that Oregon wants to have every game. Out-rebound your opponent, hold them under 70. The Ducks held the Lumberjacks under 70, 61 points for the opponent, but they got out-rebounded. Knew it was going to be a physical opponent, but the standard is still there. Brandon Angel, Jadrian Tracy, they talked about how they need to meet the standard. We're going to get to the conversation from the players when we return after a quick timeout on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back here inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano with you here on a Monday, breaking down the weekend of Oregon athletics. It's calmed down a little bit after what has been hectic week after hectic week after hectic week throughout the crossover season of late November and early December. Now, with it getting into football bowl season, volleyball closing up, it was an outstanding run through the Sweet 16. It starts to calm down a little bit, which means we get to focus a little bit more on each individual event. And right now we're focusing on the Ducks and their men's basketball victory over Stephen F. Austin. Some big-time performances. I talked about the 4 players over 13 points. 2 of them, Brandon Angel, 15 points, 4 of 5 from the field, efficient, got to the line, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, also had 6 rebounds in this game as well. Jadrian Tracy, 14 points. He was 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, knocked down his shots from deep. He was perfect from the line, made both of his attempts at the charity stripe, also had 7 rebounds. So those 2 on the glass, productive days. From the field, productive days. But as I mentioned as we went to break, there's a standard, and both of them felt that despite an 18-point victory against Stephen F. Austin, still more to reach that standard. Talking post-game with Brandon Angel, Jadrian Tracy. Here's the conversation.
What'd you guys think?
Good win. Good win. Good win for sure. I seen your pictures. I just checked those out.
It seemed like a little ragged to start. When did you feel like you got locked in? What did you guys do to kind of get into a rhythm?
Yeah, they have a little different defensive style than a lot of teams we've played, and frankly, a lot of teams in the country. So we knew going in we had to get adjusted, and we talked about trying to get adjusted as quick as we can. But that also meant we need to start the game better. I mean, just as a whole, something we struggled at the last 9 games. So getting off to a better start. Really, if we can't score right away, then let's make sure we're locked in on the defensive end of the court and take pride in that. But getting off to a better start with our activity, our deflections, steals was a big part of the win.
So you guys got a lot of guys involved in the course of the game. Just how do you feel about how guys work together, playing different groups, all that?
I think that we picked it up on defense. That kind of led to a lot of our transition points and stuff like that. And whenever we get our defense going, that always sparks us on the offensive end.
Brandon, is there something you can pinpoint to the slow starts offensively or just in general?
No, I mean, it comes down to activity and starting the game, taking more pride, not being lackadaisical to start the game, not taking the first 4-6 minutes to kind of wait into the game. And I mean, you can't always control if shots are going to fall, right? Some nights are not going to fall right away, and you hope over the course of the game that they do start to fall. But the one thing you can control is rebounding, hustle, effort, and that's something that we've talked about. There was definitely a targeted effort tonight to make sure we started the game with more activity and played harder.
Mm-hmm. Brandon, on a night where their team enforces a good number of turnovers, but how do you guys feel about, yes, you get 22 out of them, but you guys end up committing 19?
Yeah, we turned the ball over way too much, and I had 2 bad ones. But we got to be strong with the ball. We knew they were going to pressure us, and I guess it's good. You turn the ball over in a win, and it doesn't end up costing you the game, but it's definitely something we can learn from. We knew going in, like I said, but we didn't do a good enough job taking care of the ball, weren't strong enough with the ball, and get back to work at practice and try to cut that number down.
And what'd you say to KJ there once he was down?
I was just hoping that the best for him for sure, but I just wanted to really see him get up. That was the biggest thing, just get up and let our trainer work on you and try to get back out here if possible. So.
Wait for coach to say what the extent is, but just what does he mean to this team, and how you guys have to adjust if he's out even for a little while?
I think KJ he's like our quiet assassin. He might be real quiet, but his energy and his presence is big time for us, especially on the defensive end, his length and it's his versatility that he has to guard 1 through 5, and just how he is as a person, just, you know what I mean, just always being there, good job here, good job there. Even if he's not having the biggest game offensively, he's doing a lot of big things for us defensively that helps us out.
Brandon, what will this next one mean for you? I know it's a different coaching staff and whatnot. It's not on campus.
Yeah, obviously it's gonna feel weird to see that jersey on the other team's chest, but I mean, it'll be fun to see some of the guys I know. It's always fun playing against guys you grew up with or spent the last 4 years with. But at the end of the day, we got to prepare, and you treat it like another game. May feel a little weird, but at the end of the day, it's another game, a big game for us. We need to get better, keep developing, and then once they compete for all 40 minutes, then after then, say what's up and hope everyone's doing well.
Sure.
You guys obviously are happy you won, but it feels like there's a little bit of disappointment maybe in the execution of an 18-point win. Just, I guess, what does that say to the standard and maybe the potential this team does have if you get to that level?
I mean, certainly the standard's higher than what we did tonight. Rebounding was not to our standard. We talked about a lot going in and weren't able to come through on the game plan. So that's on us. There's nothing the coaching staff can do about that. That's on the 5 guys on the court at one time. Got to play harder, got to box out and go get the ball.
Yeah.
Turnovers, like you guys said, is another thing we can control a little bit better. It's not always going to be perfect, but we certainly got to take care of the ball better. But like you said, there's a standard with Oregon basketball and the standard that coach sets, and we didn't live up to that tonight. We know, all of us know, coaches know, we got to play better than that.
Yeah.
And we're back to work in practice and try to tighten that up.
Yeah. And credit to them, too. They came in here and had a good game plan. They play very hard. It's a different type of defense, and just credit to them and their coaching staff also. They came in here prepared, ready to play.
Brandon Angel, Jadrian Tracy breaking down what was an 18-point, 79-61 victory for Oregon as the Ducks continue to roll through the non-conference slate. Oregon in the latest AP poll that just dropped earlier today, they're up to number 10 in the country. So the Ducks continuing to elevate, even though an 18-point victory may not have been to the exact standard that Oregon was looking for. Well, the standard's going to continue to rise as you continue to play better and better and better and chasing the standard so that you can attain the standard and reset the standard. That's the standard. Yeah, it's a strong men's basketball performance through this point in the season. You heard the question asked to Brandon Angel about the next opponent for Oregon, his former school. Stanford, December 21st, 5 p.m. on the road will be when the Ducks men's basketball team will be next in action. We'll be next in action when we return from a quick timeout. In just about 2 minutes of time, we've got a familiar friend stopping in. Coming back on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow. You sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver.
and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, and look who's here. It's Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Did you get lost getting here?
No, fortunately, but every time I sit in this chair, I was like, God, this is more comfortable than that chair. I like that chair.
Well, it's why we give it to the guests.
I know. Like, I always call it the big comfy chair when people come in, and it's so much better.
You wonder why we have back pain.
Well, that's true. I've always thought, like, so when we built the studio, we contemplated having this be a couch. Do you remember that, Scott? We talked about having it be like a couch that ran the whole wall. Very, like, late-night set style, right?
I would have spent a few nights
So
on
that's
that
the thing.
couch.
That's why we all joked about that. Like, no, we shouldn't do that because, like, somebody will fall asleep on the couch. But now that I've sat in this chair, like, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for the update. But the Matthew Knight Arena chair is so awesome next to this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What's
what's up?
Well, I just love having you in because we don't ever do this. We don't normally get to be on the same show at the same time. And I think it's a really great opportunity to, now that we're in this sort of winter break period for students, finals week just concluded, it's not a completely dead period for athletics, but it winds down a little bit from the frenzy that was the end of November, the beginning of this December month. It gives the two of us an opportunity to sit back, reflect, state of affairs on everything kind of going on around here.
Well, here's what I think. It's almost baseball season, which is when we will be sitting in the booth and doing a broadcast together. But, yeah, we hope that more Duck Insiders will be like this. And it's going to be hard with the travel. Like Chris Clayton and I were just talking about this. The way that the travel schedule works, there's going to be a lot of days that we won't see you. You'll be here, but we'll be with you on Zoom. So you might just have to get used to us being on this TV for you virtually, I guess. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm not sure how I feel about virtual Joey or virtual Ryan. It's good to have you here. I won't say it's great to have you here in person, but it's good to have you here
when we did a lot of interviews on Zoom, I got really tired of doing interviews on Zoom.
It's complicated. Zoom has been kicking my butt a little bit lately. So
Why?
The technology of it all. It's just it gets hard.
I just don't. I maybe I'm odd. I still like face-to-face conversation, you know?
More genuine.
I don't know. I just like it better for whatever reason. Anyway.
Cool.
State of affairs. How are you?
Great. Awesome.
Okay.
Doing better after the weekend because got to see another Heisman Trophy ceremony. And Dylan Gabriel finishes third in the voting. It was a pretty decisive third in that voting. But I think it's so impactful for this university to continue to contextualize how important it is to continue to send people to New York as part of this Heisman Trophy ceremony. We had it with Bo Nix. There have been many quarterbacks over the years that have gotten to New York to be a part of that ceremony. And Dylan Gabriel put together another historic season under center for the Oregon Ducks, and it's not over yet, but the Heisman
it's a big
is so
deal.
important.
Well, and to put that in perspective, right? So I often think about this now in terms of like the rise of Oregon, right? Well, up here in the studio, right, we have the Joey Heisman banner. Then last year, the Ducks did the great 3 banners across 3 cities with Bo Nix that was so effective and impactful. There's been so many videos and stories and interviews that have been done between Marcus Mariota and Dylan Gabriel that sort of bridge that connection. And so when the billboard's in Times Square, right, and we're talking about Joey Heisman, that was like, whoa, Oregon has made it. Oregon has arrived. And now the Ducks have stayed. And just seeing the amount of quarterbacks that have been honored as Heisman finalists. I mean, Marcus Mariota won it in an absolute landslide. He should. Like, there's no doubt that he was the deserving first winner of the award in the program's history. take that a step further, though. Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, transfers, but that illustrates so many things. One, that the Ducks have stayed after arriving with just the Heisman as an example. The Ducks have stayed after arriving because they've had all of these finalists. Now, the other side of this coin, I think, is that the Ducks have also done it in the modern landscape of college football. Bo Nix, a transfer. Dylan Gabriel, a transfer. Had Oregon seen success with graduate transfers previously? Certainly. Just ask Coach Altman about that, right? Just ask Matt Ulmer about that, talking Oregon volleyball, right? So the Ducks have had success in the modern world of college football, and the Heisman illustrates it. Transfer students coming in, making an impact at arguably the most important position in all of sports. Really special. Really cool for Dylan Gabriel to do that. And I will say, like, I know you want to win the thing, but being there is a huge, huge deal. And finishing third behind historically an amazing two-way season with Travis Hunter and a truly historic season at the running back position with Ashton Genty. I mean, that's elite company that Dylan Gabriel is with there.
It's hard to get to New York, obviously. Yeah. And I'm glad you touched on the modern age of college football, because where Oregon is right now, gearing up for a college football playoff game and getting that first bye, it allows for us to enjoy these awards a little bit more. It allows Coach Lanning to go and watch Bryce Betcher win the Burlsworth. Yeah. And then Will Stein and Coach Lanning go to New York and be with Dylan Gabriel for that Heisman ceremony, and still have time to get back here and have 3 weeks almost until the game that you're still preparing for in the college football playoff. That extra bye is so incredibly important.
It's interesting because there's so many ways to schedule things, and there's probably never a perfect way. Like I'm a person that thinks the early signing day or the early signing period being the same week as the conference championships is difficult. I hope, and I don't know, maybe no coach agrees with me, maybe some do, I don't know. I just think that in the world that we're in, the most successful teams, like, yeah, I guess you know who's going to sign on that Wednesday, but a lot of those teams are preparing for a conference championship game. To your point, like, we get these award shows, some of these players are preparing to play right away, you know, and if the Ducks were hosting a game on the 21st, I think this award circuit feels a lot different, doesn't it, right? Like, you have games to prepare for. I'm also the one that thinks sometimes the, like, All-American awards shouldn't come out until the entire season is over, not just the regular season. I know why, like, you know, not every player plays in a postseason environment, and so I get why you just announce the awards, but maybe All-American's a bad example, but the Heisman and all those things.
And for the Heisman, it's you get to watch the conference championship games, but you don't get to watch the college football playoff games.
Yeah, I you know, it's funny though, Ryan. Like, I think, I guess at the end of the day, like, there's no perfect way to do it, but I'm just, to your point, I'm appreciative that the Ducks aren't hosting a game on the 21st because we did get to sort of relish in a Big Ten championship, and those student athletes got to relish in those moments a little bit more. I think you're right. I think that there's never a perfect schedule, and to make sure that everything gets its moment in the spotlight is difficult, but you talk about, though, the award season. I mean, just the way that the Ducks have been recognized, there's a reason why they're the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, and to finish off on that point, teams are playing in the college football playoff this weekend.
Right, yeah.
That would be a hectic week for everybody around here.
Yeah, if I could, to that point, like, it used to be that if you were a team that was playing in one of those earlier bowl games, right, like, those were the kind of the 6-6 bowls, right? Mm-hmm. Like, now you have teams that are legitimately the best teams in the country that are
competing for a national title.
The schedule certainly changed, you know, and will there be adjustments to the 12-team playoff? Probably. I mean, there were adjustments to the 4-team playoff. It only took us, 13, 14 years to get there? Is that right? 13, 14 years? 10 years. It took us 10 years.
14 to 24.
Yeah, that's
Ducks
right.
were in the first of both.
That's right. So, you know, gosh, I was thinking like 2010. That was still BCS era, you know. But there's always going to be changes. There's always going to be adapting. Like I said, I think the early signing period, this is just my opinion, I think the early signing period makes it difficult on staffs and it makes it difficult on student athletes, but also I think that the early signing period has been a great success. I think it's a great thing
that student athletes who know where they want to go get it done before the end of the calendar year. It makes sense to me.
I'm glad we got to touch on football and chasing a national championship. But for every sport, national championship, it's great, but not every team can win the national championship. And I want to touch on volleyball because the way that Matt Ulmer's squad, from the very first match of the year, got swept by Pitt, and then in the Sweet 16 takes Pitt further to the brink than basically any team has taken them all year long. It's a Pitt team that only had one loss on the year. And Oregon, for a large majority of that match, was outplaying, if not drawing even with Pitt for the entirety of it. The growth throughout the course of the season for a team that Coach Ulmer constructed after losing so much talent to the professional ranks like he did last year, I think it's such an incredible and impressive job that Oregon volleyball put on display last week to even have an opportunity to get close to making it to the Elite Eight and out of the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Coach would say that, you know, getting to the Sweet 16 is a huge deal. Being one of the last 16 playing is a huge deal. Also, how nice would it have been to host, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so the Ducks had a couple key injuries this year, right? They lose to USC. They lose to Washington. I got to think that, for example, if Chris Klein's healthy against Washington, the Ducks probably win that match. And maybe we're not talking about having to go to Pitt. Maybe you're talking about, you know, being the 13 seed rather than the 16 or whatever, the way that things match up. Yeah, but to your point, Oregon did play Pitt about as tough as anybody. Pitt is, I think, the best team in the country, deserving of that number one spot. They're very difficult to score on. They've been routinely one of the best offenses in the country.
They won 36 straight sets to start the season.
Right, yeah. So, you know, but that being said, if you went to Coach Ulmer and his staff and said, hey, you're going to have an injury to Daley McClellan, you're going to have injuries all over the month of November, and you're still going to be the one of the last 16 playing, I think they'd say, well, yeah, we'd probably take that. Now, that being said, how pivotal would it be to host? To be healthy? Pitt, by the way, has been healthy all year, right? There's a reason that they're where they are. It's not always the best team. It's often the healthiest and deepest team that wins at the end of the year. Well, if you're Oregon, I think how great would it be to host in the third and fourth rounds also? Because now we've seen that with this team over the last 3 seasons, really, that, you know, they get to these moments and they're right there. It's really hard to win at that level. It's really hard to win at that level. So overall, I think good season. I think that the coaches should be really proud of the season that they had. I think the student athletes should be really proud. And now, you know, you talk about like the modern landscape with Oregon football and bringing in transfers. I think Matt Ulmer has been massively successful at that.
Absolutely.
Like this year, to your point, bringing in a couple transfers that were key components, but then also student athletes that have redshirted even or been here for a few years that have kind of been that core. And
both, like an Oni Ofebu.
Exactly. Like Oni was here as a transfer, redshirted, then was a really big key to Oregon's success this season. I think that the future is really bright for Oregon volleyball. I got to say, like, I loved the new floor. I don't know that we've talked about that enough as the season's gone on. And to give fans an idea, like having that floor, you have to have it in order to host. There are teams around the country that play on hardwood and then bring in that Terraflex floor just in the NCAA tournament to play on it. Now the Ducks play on it all the time, which is pretty cool.
When I first saw that in the Pitt match to start the season, I said, wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
Wow, it's incredible. I'm glad you touched on atmosphere because the atmosphere inside of Matthew Knight Arena, it's impactful. It helps win, especially matches down the stretch in postseason. And in the non-conference slate of men's basketball, the atmosphere in Matthew Knight Arena has also been absolutely electric. I've been able to work some of the games. I've been able to be there as a fan for some of the games. That place is rocking, and this Coach Altman team is playing some really strong basketball. I know that Coach Altman, he's said before that he would rather play all non-conference than all conference, but I think this is a really interesting part in the season where you get tested in the players era, you get tested early in conference play, you have a second to regroup, evaluate, and get ready for the rest of conference play in the new year. I think this is a really valuable time for Coach Altman's team.
I think it is. I mean, I will say, like, I hear his point, and in some ways I agree with his point about you play these, like, the one-off against UCLA, the one-off against USC. You know, that is a little funky, like, starting conference play, and then you're back to Stephen F. Austin and a non-conference against Stanford this Saturday, actually, and then you play Weber State, right? I hear that. Also, he would be the first to say that this is an older team in terms of transfers that have come in, and the Ducks were hoping that they wouldn't have to lose a game to learn some lessons. He points to 10 threes in that UCLA game where the Ducks gave them up, right? He would say defensively it was a mistake. And they just didn't play well enough defensively to win that UCLA game. So you don't want to lose on a banked three. Also, that wasn't the shot that lost the game. There were multiple that lost the game.
They shot over 50% from three, which, A, won't happen every time regardless of how good you guard, but B, as to your point, got to guard better to defend that.
Yeah, I think that this team, though, is really talented and and certainly has the potential to really do something. Picked 6th in the preseason Big Ten poll. And going into the season, I'm actually a voter in that poll. And going into the season, I thought, that's probably about right. There's some unknowns in the Big Ten. You don't know how all the transfers are going to gel for Oregon. But the truth is that even in the losses, even in the one loss, I should say, and then even in the wins, there's been multiple times where Coach Altman said they need to be more consistent, can't mess up those defensive assignments. I have felt like this Oregon team's issue has been that they'll trade baskets at times, or they've allowed a lot of 6-0, 7-0 runs, And I know that doesn't sound like this huge deal, but when you're giving up 3 6-0 runs per game, that's the consistency.
And they add up.
Yeah, they add up. That's the consistency that Coach Altman's talking about. So, overall, it's a team that's been pretty healthy for the most part. I think once they do get more consistent, and even so, against Stephen F. Austin, right, yesterday, the first half of the game, I think Coach Altman really happy with the activity, deflections, all good things. Second half, at times, traded baskets, weren't as efficient, weren't as consistent. Nate Biddle was in some foul trouble, but still, nobody played more than 28 minutes in the game. That's what this team wants, right? If you can get the deflections at a high level because guys only have to play 25, 28 minutes because this is a really deep team, that's where I think Oregon can be really special this year. They are deep in the right places, and now we'll see. I mean, Stanford's going to be a good test. That's a neutral site, going to be a good test.
Joey Mack with us. Didn't get to touch on women's basketball. Don't worry, Coach Graves coming up right after this timeout. Fans won't miss
Good
you
to
too
see
much. Fans will see you tomorrow.
I will be back tomorrow. Rob Mullen's on the show tomorrow.
Whew. Heavy hitter. We're back after this. Quick timeout on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studios after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/therightseat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here live with you in the 1 o'clock hour. On Facebook, Alex Parker was at the Packer game last night up in Seattle. Evan Williams is a star in the making. Great stuff for the Packers. Great reporting, Alex. Thanks for being our correspondent on the ground. There have been a lot of Pro Ducks who have put together impressive, especially rookie campaigns this year in the National Football League. Bo Nix, Bucky Irving, Evan Williams. The list goes on and on and on. It's really fun to watch a lot of those guys play. Wish we could touch on them more on this program, but we got to change our tune and focus on women's basketball, who will be in action on Big Ten Plus tomorrow at Matthew Knight Arena at 6 o'clock p.m. Chris Clayton, Bev Smith, they'll have air for you at 5:30 in the p.m. For that game against Air Force coming up tomorrow. Kelly Graves, a few days ago, he spoke with the media talking about where Oregon women's basketball is at ahead of this matchup and a little bit of a preview against Air Force. Here's the conversation with Coach KG.
Who's up? You've had a lot of practice time. What have you guys sort of been focusing on ahead of these new matchups?
Yeah, well, after the USC game, we actually gave the team 3 days off because we have finals. And, finals week is really difficult, to have, like, meaningful practices because everybody's a little spent mentally. And so we just use these days to stay in shape, get a lot of shooting in, keep things pretty mundane because we don't want to give them anything new. We don't want to work on the next scout, that kind of stuff, because brains are fried. So it's actually been kind of nice. I think the kids can, it's more like they're pros right now, for the next month. You just practice, eat, and prepare for games. So it's kind of a fun time, I think, for student athletes.
This has also been an opportunity to do some self-scouting and kind of look and figure out some things because you had that hot start and then a couple hiccups since.
Yeah, I think the three hiccups, boils down to our perimeter shooting, our three-point shooting. I think in our three losses, we're 6 for 46 from the three. 1 for 13, 2 for 13, 3 for 20. You're just not going to beat good teams. 2 of those teams are ranked, and then the third is a perennial NCAA team in South Dakota State. So they're not bad losses, but they're opportunities we would have loved to have had back. Just shoot the ball better. I told the team the other night against USC if we did 3 things, they're 3 strengths. One stop them in transition, keep them off the boards, and then somehow contain Juju best you can. We did all 3 of those things. They had 5 points in transition, more than 10 below their average. We held them to less than 33% of their offensive misses, and they I think only had 8 second chance points, something like that. And then we did a decent job on Juju. I mean, she had 21 on 15 or 16 shots, which is pretty good efficiency, but she didn't kill us, and we were still a little short. But we just again, didn't shoot the ball that well from the 3, and then our inside players only combined for 2 points, which we had 50 points in the paint against Washington State, and that was just not nearly the same. So, yeah, I mean, I think I felt more encouraged after the USC game. At the same time, obviously discouraged because we lost.
You obviously probably had the chance to watch the film, looking back at it again. Do you still feel that way, obviously, looking back? Do you feel like, despite the poor three-point shooting, the struggles in the paint, that there were a lot of good things to look out of that game from?
Hey, defensively, we were on point. I mean, we held them to 66 points on only 40% from the field. We turned them over 22 times. I mean, we did a lot of good things. We just didn't have the kind of game offensively that we needed to win. But I think we proved to ourselves that we can play, with the best. And there were times there where we were the better team. And I think we won 3 of the 4 quarters. We just had a really awful second quarter. Didn't turn the ball over. We just were like 2 for 18 from the field. So, yeah, we and we got decent looks. They weren't always clean, but we got some decent looks. So, yeah, we're going to build on that. I like I said, was far more encouraged than discouraged after the game.
How important is that message or just that mentality of we can play with these better teams in the conference or in the nation?
Yeah, well, I think it's important. We tried to spin it in a positive way, but at the same time, we can't be complacent with, we can't just playing well or playing with them. We got to win. That's what we're in the business of doing. So we have 2 games before Christmas that are against good opponents. I mean, Air Force is coming in 9-1, and UC Irvine, who won the Big West last year, 6-3. So 2 really able teams, but 2 teams we should be able to win at home. So we got to get back on that winning train and get some momentum going into Big Ten play.
How much more longer could we see potentially lineup changes? Because it feels very consistent over the last, maybe it's like 3 or 4 games. We've seen little tweaks here and there. How much longer do you think before we get?
I think we're honing in on a starting lineup that that we'll probably stick with. A lot of it's health related too. We've had to make changes because of health. We started Philly again the other night because they were so big in the middle that we had to match up a little bit. But we're getting pretty close. I think players always do better when they know when they're going in, what their role is, and so yeah, I think we're pretty close.
Do you feel like that's led to maybe some of the struggles in some of the games, just the non-continuity in the lineup changes, or how do you feel like that's impacted the play?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it might, but I don't think so. We've gotten off to good starts. We were ahead in the first quarter against USC, even though we turned it over a little bit. So the start hasn't been the problem. We just, we've had a couple lineups that haven't done quite as well, and we'll try and stay away from those. But no, I don't think that has a huge factor.
You mentioned the health. What's the latest with a couple of these?
Well, the good news is Solly is getting closer. She was cleared to do everything today except for 5-on-5 now, but shooting and some one-on-one stuff. So that's great. We're hoping by early January, maybe even by our next Big Ten game, that she'll be ready to go. And we need her outside shooting, so she's important. Philly's still nursing. I just don't know how much better that's going to be. It's kind of like in Folly. It's just he was never 100%. So but 70% of Philly, 80% of Philly, 90% of Philly is still pretty good. Sophia is to be determined. We don't know on that one. That could be a while. And who else is out? And then Sammy, who also has been our most consistent 3-point shooter. She's going to be out still for a few more weeks. So, but who knows? Maybe this holiday, being off for a little bit of time might heal everybody.
This is where the depth, though, maybe differentiates from past seasons, where if you were out 3 or 4 players, you would almost not have a rotation. You can still kind of plug holes and kind of go from there, right?
Yes. The depth has been a big plus. So when we do go down, we still have multiple people. And then Katie Fiso is still not with the team, so she's taking a little bit of time off to be with her family right now, which I think is really important, especially around the holidays. This is a tough time when you've lost a parent.
For you, Coach, just these next couple of games before the Christmas holiday, before the start of the new year, the Big Ten conference, starting to go on. What do you hope to gain from these next couple of games? What do you really want to see from this unit?
I want to see our offense kind of get rolling a little bit. Defensively, I think we've played pretty well this year, but the offense just needs to kind of get going, and that's just seeing some shots go in. We didn't shoot it that well against Washington State, but we made 6 threes. 33% is not great, but they saw the ball go in. So we're certainly capable of doing that. And then mainly just to get some momentum going into Big Ten. I think we're at Illinois that trip to open the season. So it'd be nice to, go into Christmas break on a couple of nice wins, and then, then you're excited about starting that Big Ten.
How much have you guys been practicing just 3-point shooting in practice, knowing that, I know you guys have had games where it's worked, but clearly there's been a couple where it hasn't. So over the last, 6 days since it's been since Saturday, how much have you guys been just like, we're going to shoot the 3 and we're going to get it?
We probably spent an hour shooting today, different team games, individual game shots at game spots at game speed, repetition shooting, time shooting. We're doing it in 100 different ways. So I think, sometimes shooting's so mental, you just gotta, just believe that it's going in. I kid the team all the time. I have never shot less than 50% from the three-point line in my life, ever. And they say, "Oh, come on, coach." I say, "Yeah, because every time I shoot, I make it mentally 100% of the time. So even if I miss, I shot 50%. I think he just, it's like that. Tin Cup is one of my favorite movies. I watched it a while ago and remember on the driving range, he got the shanks and his caddy had him do all these stupid things. And then he hit it straight. And he said, "Well, why?" "Well, because you're not thinking about it. You're thinking about how stupid you look." And that's kind of what we have to do. We just have to, can't worry about missing. Just keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting.
How does your team sort of feel about the three-point shot? I think we talked about it a little earlier in the year. I mean, you got like Deja and Payton. It seems like their game's more mid-range. Are you encouraging some of those shooters to shoot more threes, or is it about getting it to your shooters?
Well, if you're not a three-point shooter, you shouldn't be shooting threes, right? It's not a democracy. We always, we talk about it being our shot. We want to get our best shot each and every time down. And that means some people don't get that opportunity. You're right. Peyton and Deja are great in the mid-range. That's their game. But, we don't want to deny them the opportunity. They shoot it well enough in practice and in our drills. We time and chart everything. So if they're making a certain amount in practice, then they get the green light in the game. It's just, we just got to make them. And we will. I'm confident that we will. And we're, really looking forward to, great last couple months of the season. I think we got a chance to be pretty good.
It's obviously still early in the year, but what has the locker room sort of been like in these up and down phases?
I don't think we're up and down. I think we're actually played pretty good basketball. We played a good schedule. We already have a couple quality wins. I mean, the win against Grand Canyon is going to prove to be a good win. Auburn, that's an NCAA tournament team, good win. Baylor was a ranked win. We've lost 3 against pretty good teams. If we were getting either blown out or, the effort's not there, then I would be concerned. But I think we're doing the right things. Our kids are enjoying playing together. We have a couple of tough losses.
Talked about going to Illinois. I know that's looking way ahead, but have you guys done anything?
It's not that way ahead.
It seems like.
I can't believe it.
But is it anything you're doing now to prepare to play teams on the road that you haven't played historically?
Yeah, I think most coaches during this kind of stretch, you really focus on yourself right now. We haven't turned our attention to the next 2 opponents, but Air Force is going to be good. They're 9-1, and thank goodness that they play really hard and they compete, because they're representing all of us, right? Air Force is all of our schools, and I love playing service academies. We've got Army coming in here next year. I love service academies because, number one, you're getting kids that are tough, kids that are tough-minded, right? And they're just going to compete, and that's what I love about it. So that's what we're going to see with this Air Force team. They got 2 really good guards.
This upcoming weekend.
That is going to be a good Air Force team coming up against Oregon tomorrow, 6 o'clock at Matthew Knight Arena. I love the mentality that Kelly Graves brings to the table. Always above a 50% three-point shooter. Make it here, even if you miss it here. Better to do both, but at least you're making it here. I like it. All right, we got some schedules to work out. We got some awards and honors to dole out. There's more coming when we return right after this. It's Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart.
Back here on Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio. We're having too much fun here during the break, but we got some housekeeping to clean up as part of the Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Brought to you by Cafe Yum, serving fresh food fast with organic ingredients. Enjoy a famous Yum Bowl at 23 Cafe Yum restaurants throughout the Northwest, home of the Ducks. First, we're going to the schedule for Oregon indoor track and field, which came out earlier today. The Ducks, they already had one indoor meet that they concluded just a little bit last week. They concluded in Massachusetts. Now, the 2025 indoor schedule starts with the Graduate Classic in Nebraska on January 17th through 18th. Then what's next up is the Razorback Invitational in Arkansas, January 31st to February 1st. That's a 2-day meet. The Don Kirby Invitational in New Mexico from February 14th to 15th. That is coinciding with the David Hemery Valentine Invitational in Boston from February 14th to 15th, and the Jarvis Scott Invitational hosted by Texas Tech on the 14th to 15th. That closes out the regular season for Oregon indoor track and field. Then it's the Big Ten Indoor Championships in Indy, February 28th to March 1st, and the NCAA Indoor Championships in Virginia Beach, March 14th through 15th. Also earlier today, 8P All-American honors for Oregon football. 3 Ducks named. Derek Harmon to the second team, Josh Connerly and Dylan Gabriel to the third team. Be ready for tomorrow's Duck Insider. Joey's got a lot for you. And tomorrow night, basketball against Air Force. See you then. Go Ducks.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son, Ricky, took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me, and I contemplated suicide. My grandson, I was going to have to be here for